Fellas, I did a little poll a while ago about which skilling boss you guys enjoy the most, and I was genuinely surprised to see that Temperos beat out Wintertodt, but it did. I did make a video about it, but honestly, I did that poll thinking Wintertodt was gonna win just so I could talk about it. But before we really start this video, I have a fun little question for you. How do you pronounce it? I've heard it called Wintertodt, Wintertodt, and Wintertodt. But honestly, I've just been calling it the Todd ever since it came out, so please forgive me for the pronunciation if it's not correct. Wintertodt is my personal favorite of the skilling bosses, but that might just be a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome kicking in. Regardless, I have a ton of experience here. It took me like 83 million XP to get the Phoenix pet on my main, and I've done 99 firemaking about 5 other times on a variety of different accounts. I know it's bad, but I just keep doing it for some reason. The big question is, why should you do Wintertodt? Well, for one, it makes firemaking profitable, which is great, but also the XP is very competitive with the average rate you get when just burning logs, and honestly, it's way less click intensive than traditional firemaking. If you are someone who does want the best experience rates possible, you should be doing firemaking lines, but honestly, Wintertodt is so fast that if you are just going for 99 and not 200 mil, it's probably going to be your go-to. The requirements for this activity are quite low, with the only real requirement being 50 firemaking to participate in the fight. But honestly, you should also complete the Druidic Ritual quest so you can pick Bruma herbs, because these are needed to make rejuvenation potions. And I would also recommend you get your construction up to like maybe 20-ish at least. Getting this level can help you really reap the rewards of the scaling construction XP when fixing braziers. Gear-wise, you'll get the Pyromancer outfit from the reward crates from the boss, but to start, you really only need a steel axe or better, as all axes above steel will have the same gathering rate, a knife, hammer, and tinderbox, which you can pick up in the lobby, and you will also need at least 4 pieces of warm clothing. Warm clothing is easy enough to come by, almost all of the holiday or event items seem to work, but I'll show you a full list on screen so you can pick what works for you. Personally, every time I've done Wintertodt on a new account, I typically use the Clue Hunter outfit and a Staff of Fire from Zaf Staff in Varrock. If you are a newer player or just getting into the game and you have lower hit points, you've lucked out big time. This boss's damage mechanic is both geniusly and terribly designed. It uses a combination of formulas to calculate the damage roll, but to make it super basic and easy to understand, the lower your hit points are and the higher your firemaking level is at Wintertodt, the lower the damage roll will be. Therefore, having a lower HP level makes each piece of food more useful per inventory slot. On every new account I've ever made, the first thing I do is the Monk's Friend quests for a couple of woodcutting levels, Druidic Ritual to unlock herb lore, and Daddy's Home for some early construction XP and supplies. After that, I'm on my way to 50 firemaking, to Wintertodt, all the way to 99. Starting here is really great since the reward crates give you a lot of good starter supplies, and this will help you work on a variety of other skills since you get seeds, raw fish, uncut gems, logs, ores, and herbs. These rewards do scale based off your level in the corresponding skill, so for example, the higher your woodcutting level is, the higher your odds of getting higher tier logs are, and this applies to everything on this table. So opening the crates at the start is great if you want some supplies for early levels, but the crates are technically more valuable, both XP and GP wise, to open them way later into your account. My personal preference is that you won't really get enough out of saving them, so just open them when you can, because 1, they don't stack in your bank and will take up a lot of space, especially if you decide to go all the way to 99, and 2, 3 sapphires are way more valuable at 20 crafting than 3 diamonds are at 77 crafting. And to be completely honest, very similarly to Temperos, the worst part of this activity is the loot. It is very underwhelming. Outside of the standard loot, you can get the Pyromancer outfit, which acts as warm clothing, but also as the skilling outfit for firemaking, giving you a 2.5% XP boost when worn. You'll also have a whopping 1 in 10,000 chance of getting a dragon axe, so don't really plan on pulling that on your way to 99. I've gotten 1 axe from Wintertodt, and I've probably done well over 200 million XP here. Of course, there is also a pet, and for whatever reason, people either seem to get it at level 70 or 200 mil XP, with almost no in between. But the one drop I think most people want from here is the Tome of Fire. The Tome of Fire, when equipped with at least 1 charge, acts as an infinite source of fire runes when casting non-combat spells like teleports or alchemy. This can be very useful when you're equipping Bryophyte's staff when alching, or any other activity where you need to equip a powered staff outside of fire. But I think the big selling point of this book is that it increases a spell's damage by 50%, which is multiplicative of your current magic bonus from your gear. The only downside is that this only works on the standard spellbook, but think Fire Strike, Bolt, Blast, Wave, or Surge. This can be really useful in both PvM and PvP scenarios. Okay, but we've talked about the XP and the rewards, so let's talk about how we can actually do the boss. But before we talk about that, we need to quickly explain the HUD. You'll have all these on your screen, and each of them means something different. If there's no fire, it means the brazier is not burning. But if it is on fire, that means it is burning. If there's a red magic symbol, this means that the pyromancer at that brazier is dead and needs to be healed. And if you see the hammer and chisel combo, that means that the brazier is broken and needs to be fixed before you can light it. Your points are obviously how many points you've earned during the kill. Hold it right there. Points are a little bit more detailed than this. Basically how points work is that if you get 500 points, you'll get a reward crate. This reward crate will always be 2 rolls, but the amount of rolls will go up depending on how many points you have. For every 5 points past the 500, you get an additional 1% chance of getting a third roll. So as an example, at 500, you would get 2 rolls. At 505, you'd get 2 with a 1% chance of getting a third roll. At 750, you'd get 2 rolls with a 50% chance. And then at 1000, you would get 3 rolls. This continues all the way up to 13,500, but we'll talk about that big crate a little bit later into the video. And Wintertodd's energy is basically the health that it's at. Outside of that, unlike Temperost, Wintertodt can actually attack you, and he has 3 different attacks he can use. If you see a large amount of snow falling over the brazier, this means that it will break, causing damage to anyone standing 1 tile directly next to it. To avoid this, you simply need to click out of the way. Wintertodt can also do an area attack. For this one, you'll notice snow falling above you or even near you if you're in the group world. This attack hits a 3x3 area, but it can actually be completely cancelled out, at least in the solos if you're standing directly next to a wall at all times. You can do this both when cutting the root, as well as burning the root. In the mass world, there's no way you'll convince everybody to do this, so just be wary that other people can hit you with this attack even if you are standing next to a wall. And Wintertodt's final attack is just a standard attack. This one will randomly hit you sometimes, and when it does, you'll get a chat message that says the cold has seeped into your bones. There's nothing you can really do about this one, it just kind of exists. Okay, but now that we have a basic understanding of the boss, it's actually very similar to Temperost in the sense that it can be done in groups or solos. And also that the reward system is very similar, where groups make it much more chill, but slightly less XP and less rewards per kill. But let's talk about the group process first. This method is super easy, and all you really need to do is hop to a Wintertodt world, light the brazier when the game starts, cut logs and fletch them into kindling if you want more points. Once you have a full inventory, you can either burn the logs or the kindling, depending on what you have. You can also be the hero of your team that everyone will silently appreciate by making a potion and holding onto it every game in case the pyromancer goes down, but I will talk more about potions in the solo method. And you will basically repeat this entire process over and over again until the boss is dead. Every activity at this boss will give you a different amount of points. Lighting braziers will give you 25, adding roots will give you 10, adding kindling, which is the fletch version of root, will give you 25, repairing a broken brazier will give you 25, and healing a down pyromancer will give you 30. Your goal in groups is to get at least 500 points so you can get a reward crate at the end of the fight, but this is super doable regardless of if you are fletching or not. The solo method is a little bit more interesting, and although it has the same requirements, I would also recommend you get 60 agility so you can use the shortcut at the back of the prison. And because this is a NoLeather video, I can't guarantee you that this is the perfect method, but this is always how I've done it. On my main, I would bring 7 pieces of food. This is at 99 hit points. I personally would bring brews and waste a little bit of money, but you could in theory just bring some prayer pots and proc redemption over and over. But honestly, bringing brews or food makes it much more chill, and you don't have to worry about sitting at a safe HP to hit a redemption. But on a low level account with like 10 to 20 HP, I would start every run with 10 to 12 pineapples and cut them into rings when I needed food. My method for doing a solo Wintertodt kill is as follows. Enter the prison and pick up 5 unfinished potions from the lobby, then run around clockwise starting at the southwest to light all 4 braziers. After lighting the third one in the northeast, I pick up 5 herbs from the eastern wall, and I make my 5 potions as I run to the 4th brazier. Once all 4 braziers are lit, I like to try to keep 2 or 3 braziers burning at all times, as well as keeping their pyromancers alive as I burn regular logs without fletching until the boss is about 30%. Under 30, I like to keep the 2 southern braziers lit until the boss is about 10%, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but this is actually very similar to Temperos. The lower the energy of the boss, the less frequently it will attack you. So most of our food usage comes from the first portion of the fight. But once we've got the boss below 10%, the solo method really starts. I simply chop the root, fletch them, and then relight the brazier once I've fletched an entire inventory to add the kindling in. For this method, we don't want the brazier to be burning 24/7. We want it to go out so that we can keep the boss between 5 and 15%, with the goal of lower being better. Here, I don't think there's a good number to give you since the rate at which it burns out is completely RNG. It could burn from 5% all the way to 0, and there's nothing you can do about it. I personally always try to light the brazier when the boss is at like 7% or higher, but this is all it is. We just repeat this method of fixing the brazier when it breaks, healing the pyromancer when it goes down, but only when we need to light the brazier and burn. And with 5 potions, there is a good chance you'll run out, so you can just go grab more from the lobby, gather some more herbs, and make more if you need them. The goal of the solo method is to get the point counter to 13,500. This will give us a crate with a max of 28 reward rolls. Doing this method can take you anywhere from about 30 minutes to an hour for any given kill. So the big question now is, which one should you do? Well, there's a good reason to do both. The group method is much more chill, but all the XP you get will be less than the solo method. I've done this on a lot of low-level accounts, and very consistently, if you do the solo method starting at 50 fire making and 20 construction, you can get all the way to 70 construction when doing 99 fire making. This is a very powerful start to all accounts, but especially Ironman and any Ultimate Ironman. If you do already have a higher construction level, I would recommend you just do the group method unless you really want any of the rewards from the crate, as obviously you'll get way more rolls doing the solo method on the way to 99. The only real downside in my opinion to doing the solo method is that at any given time you can stop paying attention and take too much damage from breaking braziers or falling snow, and you can fail a kill once you run out of food. You can always end the kill early by running the boss down before you get the max rolls, but it honestly just feels really bad to do that. And the only other thing with the solo method is that there is of course a chance of crashers who seemingly don't understand what's going on and ask to duo. And honestly, even if you say no, they will just kill the boss anyway and you'll need to start again. Outside of getting XP, there is a bonus here that Wintertodt does actually have 8 combat achievements, so you can very easily get 13 points towards your combat achievements, basically by just doing the boss a few times. None of the tasks are particularly challenging, but you will need a small amount of luck on a mass world where none of the pyromancers go down, since people typically heal them after they've already gone down. My recommendation would be to do groups until you have all your combat achievements, then switch over to the solo method all the way to 99. But that's just me, do whatever your personal preference tells you. Overall, I really like Wintertodt. I do wish it wasn't so punishing for people with higher hit points, but it is a great fire making training method, and it did finally give the skill some sort of use outside of just light sources. Even though fire making is still bad, it is what it is. Shout out to the big fellas DansSmeg'ead and LokiFM, as well as the fellas Snacks, Jujo, and iTalk. I'm starting to put together a Discord, so hopefully I can get an invite in one of the next videos. And I know that I'm crazy for liking this killing boss, but I'm telling you, the Stockholm Syndrome is hitting hard. If you yourself really like the skilling bosses and want to know a little bit more about Temperos and how I do it, you should see a video on screen now. But other than that, I've really got nothing left to say, so I'll see you in the next one.